Hello, everybody. This is Elissa from Ink Arts and Crafts, and today we are here to do a little bit of a post review. And our post review for today is going to be this canvas. This is called Catana, and this is from the artist Vincent Trinidad. And I do have to say that this is one of those kits that has been on my wish list for ages before I bought it, and then I got it, and I've been wanting to do it for ages, and I finally did it this month for the Lunar New Year DP Along, which is the event that I'm hosting. But I do want to go over something kind of a little bit different that I did as I enhanced this kit. You can probably see that already. I definitely did something a little bit different. First, we're going to go over the drills. So this canvas, it comes to us from Diamond Art Club. They do still currently sell it. It is currently sold out at the moment, but you can sign up for restocks. It's a super fun canvas. And if you're intimidated by all of the black background, well, that's one of the things we're going to talk about. It is a square drill canvas. It is a 43 by 56 centimeters, so a perfect, lovely, small size. It does come with 15 colors, and included in those 15 colors are 4 ABs. So this one took me, I started in the 5th of February, finished it 11th of February. That's not really pertinent in here. And it did take me just under 13 hours to finish. But what we're going to talk a little bit more on is instead of talking about how long it took me, all that fun stuff, we're going to talk a little bit more about the enhancements that I did for it. So these right here are the drills that are left over after we finish it. And it looks weird because so this container here, and here, those were all 310. And then right here, these two containers were both this 402. And you can see how much, let's see how much it goes in here. So when it's vertical, it goes to the top of my thumbnail right there. That's how much of that was used. Again, the 310 filled all of these containers here. And you can see what's left over. So we have plenty of colors left over. There was not a lot left. There's plenty left over even of the AB, but it's definitely the smaller quantity in that AB. Same thing in this one. This color, there wasn't a lot to begin with, so that's actually a fair amount left over afterwards. I did have a fair amount of trash in my 310 working on this canvas, which a little bit more than I normally would have, but then also it has a lot more 310 than most kits that I work on. I did add a lot of enhancements, and that's something we're going to talk about. So I decided with this canvas, I didn't have any issues with the drill field. It's one of that older range. I got mine, like I said, I bought my canvas in June of 2024, and I'm very happy with what the grid was like in that time frame, in that June of 2024 time frame. Sorry, I have some random drills that needed popped down, so it's like you feel them and you gotta push them. So I'm pleased with how the drill field was. It isn't like one of those out of control, crazy tight grids, which sometimes when you color block can be. And so the grid was fantastic on this. I had no issues with it. One of the big things that I do want to talk a little bit about is the fact that I added a lot of different specials to it. And the biggest thing that I did was the background that you see right here. So you can see I added this, and this is actually a fairy dust. So I added this dust 413. It's actually technically a pixie dust. I call them all fairy dust because it's the same thing. So I added this pixie dust 413. It's the color that I had a lot of. With this kit, I kind of challenged myself to just use special drills that I already had for the enhancements and not pull out and have to purchase anything, just using what I already had. So I knew I was going to need a little bit more for the grid in the background than just some of the colors I have. I'll have like a little bit of, or I'll have like half a container of. So I needed something that I had a fair amount of, and I ended up using like a bottle and a half of these size bottles to do this background. I'm not sure how that equates to, I think it was probably like the equivalent of maybe a bag of pixie dust 413 maybe, but I decided to do it in this grid pattern. So when we're looking at this grid, I started up there on that top corner right there, and I just like picked a spot and just started going, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go from, I basically was like, we're gonna eyeball this, we're gonna go from here, and we're gonna see how, I picked a little area, and I just went, and it was like, how many drills do I take to get to there? And it was 13. So then I'm like, I'm gonna rebound off of this, and we're gonna go this way, get up to there, and then we're in making sure every 13 I've got like the cross to come down. So basically that's, if you do something like this, you can pick whatever size square you wanted. I still like color blocking, so I went with a grid that was definitely a little bit bigger, specifically because I do still like the color blocking aspect of it, and I didn't want to completely get rid of all of the color blocking on this canvas. However, I did want to break it up a little bit so it was not all pure 310. If I have to color block a section, which I love doing, I get kind of like, for me, I don't like doing the 310 color blocking just because it's a little harder to see with the 310 because you have to have so much light, and I like to see the drills in my tray before I place them on the canvas. So that was something that I did find a little like tedious, was the fact that there was a lot of 310 in here. But I knew that that was going to be an issue, so I broke it up by doing this grid in the background. And you can see how it worked out and how it laid up, where we have this grid through the entirety of this background. We have that grid. And I really like how it looks. I was a little worried there when I started placing the drills, because I put the entire grid line down, doing like every 13 drills, adding the other direction, every 13 adding another direction. So I did the grid first, and once I finished the grid on the entire background, that's when I then came through and started filling it in with the 310. That was something that did take me a hot minute to do, all of this background on here. It took a little longer, obviously, to do than if I had just done it as a straight color blocking, but also it broke it up, so it was kind of like a little bit of a break for my brain than all of the pure 310, because again, it can be very challenging to color block massive areas of 310. You can, if you don't want it to be this big of a grid, you can make the grid smaller. If you don't want the color to be quite as bright, you can pick a darker color. I went with what I already had in my hoard, and I actually really kind of like this look. I was originally going to do more of like a fairy dust 310, do something a little bit darker but still with that dust on it, but I'm actually really happy with how the 413 turned out. So that was the background, and it was very straightforward. Once I kind of started and I had the idea of what size squares I was doing, I just continued it all throughout. Anywhere that had that symbol, I just continued it out. I did try to actually do an outline of the cat first, because I wanted the cat to feel like he was standing in front of this grid a little bit more. So that's why, you know, we've got this black outline around the cat, and I wanted to leave that black outline there. So it's like, yes, you can see his tattooed shoulders are still kind of like blending in a little bit, but it did tend to break that up a little bit more. So that was the big thing that I did. Once I finished that, I went through and did all of the black in the cat, and then I was able to sit down and look at it and be like, okay, now I want to enhance this. Now that I've finished all of the black, I'm going to go ahead and enhance my cat. So first off, the special drills that it came with, it had 4 special drills, which these are the old way of labeling them: 101, 102, 103, and 104. So our 101 is the blue, and that blue AB is this light blue we're seeing right here. It's a little accent in the koi scales right there, and then a little bit of an accent right here in our knife. So that was the first AB. The second AB was AB 102, which is actually 310. And that's probably my least favorite part of this entire canvas, but I'm not somebody to go back through and pull drills for it. But the 310, the AB 310 on this one is charted in the ears, which I'm fine with it up here in the ears, but it's also charted in the eyes. And I'm fine with it like in his little nosy nose there, with his whiskers and his nose. I'm fine with it there. But what I do not care for as much is the AB in the 310 in the eyes. I'm fine with the white one, but it's this black AB right here that I'm really not super thrilled with as far as how it looks on his eyeballs. That's probably my least favorite part about this. The next AB was our 103, which is our red, and that red AB is over here on our writing over on the side. That's our characters. And I think that's really it's only over here. I don't think I see any of that AB in this area or up in there. It's all just right here and right here, our writing on the side, which I was fine with that. And then the last AB is the 104, which was that creamy color. And that creamy AB is the whiskers, which I'm glad that it was the whiskers. So it's the whiskers, but not that whisker, which I wish it would have been that whisker too. I should just pull those up. I really should just pull those up and put that AB down, and then pull those 310 up and let regular 310 down. And it's also this light creamy colored AB that we're seeing up in his ear hair right in there. So that's where the ABs were charted on this. I also decided I needed to make some enhancements. There's not a lot of colors in this kit, so if we subtract the 4 ABs, that leaves us with only 11 other colors in this entire canvas. And I actually added enhancements Here's my enhancement cheat sheet. I added enhancements to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those 11 colors. So really, I did not leave a lot that was not enhanced on this. And one of those colors being the 310. So basically, I looked at it and I was like, first off, for the knife, I really wanted to add some, kind of make the knife like where it looked sharp. You could do crystal with it. I like dust drills for our knives. So I looked through and I did not have like an identical color for color swap, but the color that I had that was the closest, it's actually a little bit lighter toned than the drill that was in place, because it actually called for this color. This cream that you see in the handle of the knife was actually supposed to be the blade of the knife. So I used this Fairy Dust, Pixie Dust 3774, which all of these little bottles of are colors that I got from Pixie Dust that I got from Deepu Sparklers. That's my go-to special drill place. So all of the small bottles are from Deepu Sparklers, which are one of the sponsors for the event. So go ahead and check them out. They have such amazing special drills, and I can't wait to like give you guys their small shop showcase video when I do that one. But yeah, the dust drills, I needed it in the knife. So really that color, I only enhanced the knife blade. I didn't enhance anywhere else. I didn't, because I was looking and I was like, yeah, I could do it over into here, but I really just wanted it to be right there on the knife. Looking back, I definitely could have added it here and then right in here, but I'm happy with how it turned out. So that was this one. And then I looked at our 2 koi fish. And I was like, okay, these koi fish need to be blinged up. And that's what I ended up doing. So I started with this one here and I was like, okay, I need to swap out a nice color. And I went with what I had. And I had this, which is a Fairy Dust 993, which I've used for a lot of different canvases. I didn't use a ton of it in here. But this is from Diamond Art Club, the large bottle from Diamond Art Club from one of their enhancement sets. So that's what we're seeing in all of this really lovely teal color in the knife blade and then right through here. So I used this color. I wanted to kind of bring out a little bit of some of the like a crystal look, because I love crystals in fish scales. I believe crystals really look great in water or anything water-esque. Let me see if it shows up a little better. So you can kind of see like right in here, this is where we have the crystals on this fish right there. They're really catching the light and it's subtle, but this is a very close color match to what color it was supposed to be. Let's see, this is the crystal, and this is a crystal confetti. So one of my favorite drills to have is a crystal confetti, and you can see how it's kind of got that yellow tone to it. And this was a replacement for 945, which is this light color right here. Actually, it's a replacement for 646, which is this kind of funky greenish tone, which these are a yellow color, but depending on how the light catches them, they can kind of give you that greenish tone. So that's what I went with for this crystal right here. I really like that look, and I love a crystal confetti with the glitter on top of the crystal. I think that's a fantastic one. So that's what I did for this fish. So that covers all of the enhancements we did on our little fish over here. So the rest of the enhancements that we have are ones that pertain to our other little fish right over there, and then our design right here on the hip. So it looks like maybe another fish or a flower or something on the hip. Hard to tell from that angle. So one of the big things I looked at, I was like, what crystals do I have? And I did have this crystal right here. So this is a 891, so it's a orangey red, because this was a very interesting color palette. So I used that to replace the 350 in here. So that was a big chunk, this orangey red that we're seeing in our cat face, which you can see it right in there. It stands out in there. It's definitely a really with the light catching it. And then of course there's other areas down lower where we see this crystal, which is, again, this is one from Diamond Art Club. Those were the only 2 colors I had for their Diamond Art Club set that worked for this canvas. I also wanted a little extra accent. There was one color that was not a ton of drills for. I think it was literally just right here, 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 and here. So not a ton of drills of it. But that's this Crystal Confetti 152. Again, I love a good crystal confetti. So it's got that pink, but with those yellow glitter on the surface of it. And that's what I used right around there and around the gills and accent of our fish. And then the last 2 that I added, because I had added the crystals, it was already charted with ABs. So then I added a couple more dust drills. So I added this Fairy Dust 351, which is the lighter tone that we see over here. And we see it a little bit down into this portion. So that's going to be our dust drills that we're seeing right in there for that one. And then I used the last color, dust drill, which is a little bit of a brown toned. This is a Dust 918, and I used that up here into the goldfish. So I used that right as that dust to kind of balance a nice foil off of the crystals that I already placed. Because I was doing the crystals, those ended up into, you know, our cat's ears. I really am not a fan of this 310 in the eyes. So if you are doing this kit, I highly recommend recharting the eyes with just straight AB instead of doing or just straight 310 rather than doing the AB 310. I think it'll look much better that way. It kind of looks like he's wearing weird like eye makeup with it being the AB in his eyes. Everywhere else I think I'd be fine with. There's cases where I do like a good AB 310, but not so much on this aspect. So that's like my one complaint for this canvas was that. But all of this to go to show, I really like the glistening look on the fish. I think the crystals really made it, anything that's wet, the crystals really enhance and give a great look to anything that's water or wet based. So like snakes, fish, water itself, all of that. That's a great use of it. And then the other things were just accents to bring out some of the other colors. And then the other really cool thing is the grid that I did on the background. So this is something that I have a few different canvases that I have not done because it's like the entire background is just straight color blocking. And if it's a round roll canvas, I'm fine with that. But if it's a square, that I'm not a fan of, I'm not as much of a fan of squares. And I like the balance of confetti and color blocking on my squares just because it can be very hard with the grid as it gets really tight when you're color blocking squares. I typically have to do a row, skip, or do a column, skip a column, do a column, skip a column with my grid lines, with my drills. So that way, otherwise I find that if you don't get it spaced perfectly, you can end up running out of space and then you end up with popping drills. So I do that to kind of maintain the spacing. I don't have that issue with rounds. But that's what I do with squares. So this is a great way to kind of prevent that issue with your color blocking in the background, to worry about any kind of your grid getting like out of control, your spacing not being right. Break it up and add this background. So there's a number of different canvases that I have in my hoard that I will add a grid background like this to help to kind of break it up a little bit more. So that's something that I'm really pleased with. And I think that turned out well. And it's a great thing that you can implement in your own canvases, whether you're doing it in a canvas like this. And if you do, I'm really intrigued to see what color you choose for the background. You could literally choose any color. You could have made this a red color for the grid line in the bathroom background, which would have gone really well with this canvas. I do say that the gray does kind of match with the eyes, but you could have even picked this teal color and done the background grid line with the teal that we have right here, and it would have looked completely fine, and it would have added just like a totally different look to this canvas because it's a background and it's behind everything else that we're seeing, and I think that would have looked completely fine. So that's something that, don't be intimidated. Basically, bottom line, don't be intimidated when you see a canvas with a pure color blocking background. You can work it like this. You can add any design you want to the background to make it different. I just went simple because I had to single place every single one of these drills, which was for the outline, which was super tedious. I hate single placing. If you're somebody that enjoys it, you can go elaborate and make totally cool different patterns on this. You could do like little spirally type patterns. You could do anything with your pattern on this. This was just a simple, easiest thing to do, counting the 13 drills, and keep going that way. And it turned out fantastic and really helped to break up that straight 310 that I was doing. And I will utilize this in other things. So if you have a canvas with a background, go for it, knock it out, do it, add the grid line to it, break it up a little bit, and you'll find yourself having a much more enjoyable experience if it's something that you've been avoiding some of these canvases because they have so much color blocking in the background. Add the grid, add a pattern, do it. Anyways, that's my post review for Catana. I think it turned out excellent. I'm happy with it, minus the eyes. Again, that's my big thing, is that 310 in the eyeballs, not a fan. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my little bit of like how creative you can get with these. It doesn't have to be something that's charted in, and go do what you want, make it your own, do what you like, play. It's just drills. If you don't how they look, you either leave it and move on, or you pull the drills up and do something else. But anyways, have a great day, everybody, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.